Roger Stone apologizes, retracts false statements made on Infowars. So what happened here is Roger Stone made some false statements on Infowars because it's Infowars. That is, that's essentially what it's for. All right, so here's what he said. Longtime Donald Trump associate Roger Stone settled a defamation lawsuit on Monday, admitting and apologizing for making false statements about a Chinese businessman on the right-wing conspiracy website Infowars. Stone reached a settlement with exiled Chinese businessman Zhou Wengu, who is seeking asylum in the USGUO, who also goes by the name Miles Kwok. All right, so he filed this defamation suit in March, arguing Stone had made false statements about him around September 2017 to January 2018. Stone falsely claimed that Guo was found guilty and convicted of financial crimes in the U.S., violated election law by making political donations to Hillary Clinton, and bankrolled a presidential run by former White House advisor Steve Bannon. All these statements are not true, Stone said, adding that he failed to do proper research before making these statements. So, look, I'm not an Infowars fan, but here was my thing about this. You know, I'm not surprised that somebody would use that platform to spread false information. The reason I bring this up today, and the reason I wanted to use it for a topic, is not to talk about the journalistic integrity or lack thereof of Roger Stone and Infowars. That's a very, very boring conversation, and I feel like most of us kind of already know where we stand one way or another. But what I saw on Twitter and on the social media blogosphere was a bunch of people using this as an excuse to defend the corporate media. And they're saying, see, you guys, you know, CNN, and this didn't happen on CNN, this didn't happen on MSNBC, this didn't happen on Fox News, this happened on Infowars, that's where the fake news is, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, they can both be. Here's the fun part. Here's the theory I entertain. If it wasn't for the corporate media being as terrible as they are, Infowars wouldn't exist. And I do believe that to be true. Because you could say, well, it would still exist. There's still independent media. Yeah. But Infowars, as the juggernaut it's become, would not exist. Because people wouldn't have latched onto it the way they had. If people just saw Alex Jones for what it was, which it's just a parody of a parody. It's just hyperbole. It's sensationalism. It's really not meant to be taken seriously. When the guy was in court, he was referred to as a performance artist. And that's fine, but the reason it's taken seriously is because our news is so terrible. And you want to talk about defamation? That happens in the corporate media all the time. Look at all the things that have been said about Jill Stein. Look at all the things that have been said about Bernie Sanders, with no consequence, by the way. Because if you defame somebody with no money and no power, you can get away with it. If you defame a rich person, then there might be consequences, as we're seeing here. Because when you got money, you can sue. So, Infowars is doing nothing for news and information. Neither is the corporate media. I know it's hard to live in a world where there are no good guys. But in this, for instance, there's no good guys. So if you're going on the Twitter sphere defending cable news because Infowars is terrible, that's ridiculous. Do you defend cancer because AIDS is terrible? What sense does that make? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Like, what's the point of defending cable news because Infowars is terrible? That is the all lives matter of media apologists. That's what that is. It is the all lives matter of media apologists. And that's a new phrase that I hope catches on. Media apologists. When you just completely overlook the structural, catastrophic flaw of our corporate media. And again, I know that the BBC has their problems, the CBC has their problems, the All state-run media has their problems. I'm not going to say they don't. But when you look at something like the BBC, for instance, if the BBC is a paper cut, America, the United States media structure is an inoperable tumor. That is the difference in degree. And yeah, the BBC has their problems. There's a lot you can point to. But the U.S. is that much worse. That much worse. And I don't think that's an embellishment at all. If BBC's a paper cut, the U.S. is an inoperable tumor. So let me see what you guys are saying. Do I got this right? Roger Stone, a liar's liar. Magnetic Perturbation says right on. Tim says it's like defending the Democrats because the Republicans are horrible. Yep. The corporate media collude and conspires with the police. All mainstream media is right-wing or neoliberal, says Edwin. Yeah, that's accurate. That is accurate. Mike S. says, I think Alex Jones' whole purpose was to trigger liberals into giving up their free speech. That's funny, but, man, you might be right. You may have nailed it. David says that the BBC is pushing the theory that Russia is All right, so David says this. I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't seen anything to indicate this, but David says the BBC is pushing the theory that Russia's behind the yellow vests. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Wow. All right. Well, there you go.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and